Hey, what's up, traders? Today I'm going to be breaking down my $1,000 profit trade on AMD straight off the watch list. Called in chat. This morning, SPY had a very large gap down. So what do? We YOLO some trades and hope it works out. No, I'm just kidding. You adjust. You always have to adjust. Our entire trading plan for yesterday, that we had made yesterday for today, was completely obliterated by this gap down. Everything that we had been watching and had planned for was no longer in play. So we had to adjust to the market conditions following the gap down move. So oftentimes when you get a larger gap down on a lot of stocks, there's a couple of different scenarios that can play out. One of them being a break over the pre-market lows or pre-market highs, for a gap fill to the top side. That is one play that can be taken. The other trade that can be taken is a continuation move to the bottom side, and then of course sometimes, like you see here, you'll get chop. So on AMD, this is what I had identified. AMD had a larger sell-off yesterday. It totally rejected at $96, sold off, and then it sold off again with barely any relief from this selling pressure. And so this second sell-off here, the gap down going into today, by the way, this is your gap area. The gap down going into today, I knew that if AMD, or if the market reversed a little bit, then AMD had the potential to possibly fill this gap. And it almost did that in the first 10 minutes or so. So here's what we were watching. AMD, the pre-market high it's technically up here, I suppose, but this is where the majority of the price action is occurring. It was below the $88.5 price point. So understanding that stocks move in waves, this has been moving in one wave down with no relief wave to the top side. So in no way am I saying, yes, I'm bullish on AMD for the long term, but there was a higher probability chance that if AMD moved up to relieve some of this selling pressure, we could take a trade on it for a decent amount of profits. So the stock opened up. I'm on the 5-minute chart time frame here. The stock opened up and went big green. So we know not to chase the move when it goes green like this. And it was almost filling this gap at this time too. So I was getting a little worried that our profit margin was taken away. And so I flipped to the 1-minute chart time frame and I was like, you know what? If AMD pulls back and retests the trigger level at 88.5, I'm willing to take a position if and only if we have market backing. So having market backing means that you're trading with the trend of SPY. That can really be the difference between a stock that breaks out versus one that fakes out. So at this time, actually it was on this candle right here at 647. Let me pull this up in my alert room here. Okay, so I said AMD, it's into the gap area, right? This is at the 34 mark. My times are off, by the way, but so AMD into the gap area, looking for a pullback entry somewhere along the way. So that's when I was giving you the contracts. I said these are the contracts that I have loaded. No position yet. I'm wanting a dip to 88.5 to hold as support. All right. A few minutes later, AMD still waiting on the lower entry. And then I said a few minutes later, we want SPY to hold the pre-market lows. We don't want this to break 427. If SPY holds 427 and AMD pulls back to the trigger, I will take AMD long. This is the play this is the exact scenario that I had planned out. So here's your drop down at 647, right? I'm going to flip to SPY. Here's your drop down, right? We're looking at 643, 44, 45, 46, 47. So SPY started to, at this time, show a little bit of green from this selling pressure. And why would I feel comfortable with SPY showing some green right here? Well, because this is the pre-market low for SPY. So support, support, support. So showing some green in this area meant that this had the potential to reverse. My timing was a little bit off because even though SPY at that time was showing some green, AMD did come down a little bit more. So I wound up taking my position early. I think I was like halfway through this candle. I took my initial position, right? So I said, AMD, I'm trying this long. small size starter position because I didn't want to go in with full size if this did not hold. Remember, at the time, we didn't have confirmation that 88.5 would hold as support. Here's the contracts, right? Here's my fill price. I said it's a risky play, but I'm risking to 88.5. AMD, don't follow if you can't take a paper cut. This trade is meant to be added into. So because my position was a small position, a starter size position, my normal stop loss being at 10% meant that I could allow myself a little bit more wiggle room, maybe 20% or 30% on my stop loss, because from a monetary standpoint, I'm nowhere near what my max stop loss would be. So here's your pullback to the trigger level, perfect dip entry to test as support. There's your kind of confirmation move, right? So at 650, remember this time at 650, we're going to go back to SPY. Look at SPY at 650. Started to move up off this support point. So it was no longer range trading down here at the support. You started to get a higher high. So here's your downward trend line, if you will, connecting the peak to the first rally, the break of the trend line, the higher high being made, happening at support, confirmation that the trend is reversing at the time. And then AMD from there was just a grind up into, well, close to the high of day, right? And so here's what I said. AMD, we're up about 10% here. You can take profits or hold. You may want to place your stop at break even for a risk-free trade. So if you're ever trading and you're up about 10%, sometimes it's a good idea to go ahead and move that stop loss up to break even so that it becomes a risk-free trade. At that point, you're only paying whatever commissions that you paid to enter the trade, and you're not really taking a loss, right? And that allows you to think more clearly within the trade too, because you're going to be more relaxed. You're not worried about taking a loss. If it comes back on you, it's like, oh well, the trade didn't work out. But that is something that is totally up to you to decide how you want to manage your trade, right? That's called trade management. AMD, I said a few minutes later, I'm looking to close this soon, and then eventually AMD, that's good enough. Here's the contracts. There's the entry at 115. It's now at 133, straight off the trigger level, right? I'm out right here, $1,000 in the day. This round wound up running to 20%. I think it ran a little over 139. But you know what? Taking profits when they're offered, especially when the stock is trading close to the high of day, is something that I've always, it's just a strategy that I've always really implemented. So I'm a profit target trader, meaning that once my profit target is hit, I just go ahead and take my profits. I don't really care if the stock continues to run afterwards. If it does, that's great. My analysis was right. And if it doesn't, then I get out with my profits. And then I rinse and repeat this strategy, right? And so that's what's been proven to be effective for me over the long term. Sorry about that. Okay, so AMD at the moment is forming an ascending triangle, which means that it's not totally out of play. This is something that we're looking to play here soon if it breaks the $90 price point. But again, we're going to want to have market backing, and unfortunately at the moment we don't have that, right? SPY on the 5-minute chart time frame is not showing much here. It actually almost looks like a descending triangle where it has a solid point of support and then lower highs being formed on the way down. So we'll see what the direction winds up being. If this holds support here and bounces up, I think that there is a chance that AMD breaks out of this ascending triangle to the top side. But it'll need to break over $90, and then your resistance overhead is going to be that green line, which is the previous day's close. So we'll see what kind of moves that we get from here, but that was my trade breakdown on AMD. I hope that this video has helped you out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Press the like button for me, show some love, and I'll see you all in chat. Take care.